Hello, everybody. Sorry, we started a little late. We had some technical difficulties trying to put on a thumbnail, which didn't go very well. But welcome. I'm glad everyone is here today. I'm glad everyone can join us. Just a reminder, my name is Alexis, and I'm here with Carly. She's going to be kind of the mom aspect into this, and I'm going to be more connected with the teen youth, and she's going to be more connected with the mom youth. So she'll definitely be chiming in. This is our week 3 of self-worth out of 4 weeks. We are starting with the building self-worth. So we had the introduction to self-worth, understanding what it was. And then we had week 2, which is kind of recognizing, identifying that negative self-talk and perfectionism in our lives. This week, we're going to be focusing on actually building on that, learning how to be positive with ourselves and others. So to get started, I'm going to ask you, I want you to actually think of a very close friend that you really care about and say something happened to them, something they were really upset about. Maybe they made a mistake or they got rejected or anything. How would you react to that person? How would you help that person? Would you help that person? And the typical answer would probably be yes. If somebody, your friend that you loved and you cared about, and something went wrong or they made a mistake like humans do, you're going to come with them with compassion. You're going to give them positive encouragement. And that's where I kind of want to lead into when we make mistakes and when we do something that's not necessarily a proud thing. Why do we come at ourselves so negatively and not positively like we would our friend? And that's what I really want to preface on this week is focusing on how we're talking to ourselves and fixing it. Last week we identified some of those things. This week I want you to fix it because belittling yourself is definitely not the kind of encouragement we're going to want. It's not going to encourage you because what you think is or what you say is eventually going to be what you believe. And if you make a mistake and you call yourself stupid or dumb, you're going to eventually make yourself feel stupid and dumb, and you're not going to get any better. And that's why I really want to start with that self-talk. A lot of people, when they talk to themselves, it's so poorly. And I think the big misconception is that when we talk to ourselves poorly like that, it's going to encourage us to do better next time, or it's encouraging us to do better next time. When in reality, the more you say things to yourself, like I said, the more you're going to believe it. You're not going to believe that you're going to do better next time because you're not telling yourself that. You're telling yourself, I really sucked this time and I kind of just failed, and that is that. And it's okay to fail. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you have to be perfect or pretend like it's perfect. Not at all. But we have to be able to actually get over that. And it's how we react with that. We're allowed to feel whatever we want. It's good to feel things. It's just how you react with it, what you do with that.
I just want to add, to that, you're saying, beating yourself down.
Right.
That what comes with that is shame.
Yeah.
And I think shame is, you are a mistake. And if you sit there and you are like, oh, man, belittling yourself and constantly down on yourself, it goes back to you saying how we wouldn't show up for a friend in that way, or maybe even a significant other or our children.
Right.
So I think meeting yourself with compassion, and instead of saying, you are the mistake or you made the mistake, especially as moms when we're parenting, compassion says you made a mistake and you are still good. You're still a good person.
Right. And I like to use the example of, the movie Inside Out?
Yes.
I love Inside Out because it has Riley. She's the main character, if you don't know what Inside Out is. And it's about all these emotions in the head, and every memory she has Whether it's a fear memory, an anxiety memory, an embarrassing memory, it has its own color and it's its own bubble. And it travels up into, I guess you would say, her brain. And those are her memories. But she also has these like platforms, these foundational platforms. And I think one of them's family, friends, goofy, kind. It's just what makes up her as a person. And so when she goes through a moment like that, an embarrassing moment or something she's not proud of, it's just memory. It doesn't affect the foundational parts of her. It doesn't affect those platforms that she has built to make her who she is. And that's why I like to use Inside Out as one of those things, because it is the way a lot of people think those little moments is what make up you as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so not true at all. And that's why I want to put this understanding that it is just a memory. It's just a moment. And we can create more moments. We can't go back and change that one maybe, but we can go in the future and change those and learn. And it's not going to impact you foundationally if you take that accountability and you change it when you recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I want to go into like talking about how you talk to yourself and the way you speak to yourself, because everybody has an internal voice. Everyone has a critic in their head. And I think that's okay. I think it's okay to have a critic. I think it's supposed to be there for a reason, but it's not supposed to overpower you. That critic in your head isn't you per se. It doesn't make up the person you are. I just think
I almost think it's there for like to keep us safe in a way. I would say not maybe to keep us safe, but to bring awareness to us, to help us keep ourselves safe.
Right.
Like a little
almost
bit of
like
discernment.
a consciousness.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily you, but necessarily like a consciousness.
Yes.
That's there.
Yeah.
And always, sometimes for people won't shut up. So yeah, I definitely understand that one. And then the positive self-talk, like I said, it's not, when something bad happens in your life, it doesn't mean that you have to think positively about it in that moment. Things happen, life happens, and feelings happen too. If something tragic happens, you're gonna feel horribly. It's just how we are as humans. So definitely, it's not one of those things where you have to be positive all the time or force things to be perfect, because that's just not how life is. So it is important to know that you don't have to react that way, but you can feel that way.
Yeah.
You can feel angry, but don't act on it.
Yes. And like not having resistance to our circumstances, especially as moms.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like the terrible twos. When we resist those moments of when they are throwing a fit, or like we're out in public and we're like, the circumstance is everyone is probably looking at you because your kid is throwing a fit, but like you can't change the fact that everyone's like staring at you and having their own thoughts.
Yeah.
So just staying in your own brain. So yeah, just not resisting those circumstances. Like it's normal. And yes, like as a mom, I feel like when I'm out in public and my son is throwing a fit, like I feel some emotions. I feel some shame. I'm like, oh man, I am not being a good parent right now. Like, look at him misbehaving. But sometimes I'm like, okay, let's reel that brain back in and just say, I get to learn from this. And next time I go into the store, my expectations are going to be very clear of what is expected of him and how to act. And then if he doesn't, then you just follow through.
You just take the hit, and instead of letting it hit you, you just learn from it.
Yeah.
You do better next time.
Yes.
That's where a lot of people fall, is they feel so much shame almost. I feel
Mhm.
like they self-sabotage
Yes.
themselves and to go into this deeper and deeper hole. I have a lot of experience with that because of the pressure I used to put on myself just with grades even.
Yes.
And it's just like I got to a point of frustration and shame when I would get a bad grade that it's just like, okay, I just don't care.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna, but instead of doing that, we got to learn from what that hit did to us and do better. So yes, I definitely like.
Our brains, I think, love to be lazy.
Oh,
And if
very
we
much.
just let that thought take us into the deep darkness, it will. But the moment that you can just notice it, even just noticing those thoughts of like shame or I'm a failure and just changing, like, you don't have to say like, man, I am perfect, because that's not why we're here.
No,
I think the bridge thought would be like, that didn't go how I intended,
right,
and I'm going to learn from it,
right,
versus I'm a failure.
exactly.
So, yeah, that shame. It goes, those perfectionists, man. If you're out there, I'm so sorry.
Oh
because-
yes, me too. So sorry. My brain just nonstop chatter.
Yes.
But after this, I want to go into a little bit of more questions throughout the next few weeks, just because I like to stay on the topic of discussion more than I do telling you what to do. So I want to answer the question. I will answer it first to kind of prompt everybody. But it's, what's one phrase you catch yourself saying that tears you down? And then how could you rephrase it in a way that's honest and more supportive? I have worked really hard on the self-talk. I can't really think of anything that I struggle with now when it comes to self-talk. I'm sure if I thought a little bit harder, I could. But something I used to say a lot and I used to think is like, especially when you get into like the seasonal depression and things like that, it's so much easier. Like I said last time, like that false narrative in your head. My favorite line that I used to tell myself was nobody cared.
Yes.
Nobody cares. I'm not even gonna say that. Nobody cares.
Yes.
And when you say something like that enough, you believe it. And even though that's not what was happening, it's not like nobody cared. But when I would tell myself that, and maybe somebody didn't hear me and they just kept walking or something, I took that like really personally, because I already had that narrative in my head that nobody cared. And so when something like somebody made a mistake, they just didn't hear me or whatnot, I would tear me down. So I think it's not just what we say to ourselves. It's just there's so much negative around just those words. They're not just words, because we eventually start to feel that way.
Absolutely.
And then little things like, oh, they didn't text me back, or things like that kind of feed into that nobody cares, tears you down 10 times more. And so that's why I really want to preface the importance of those words, because they are not just words.
Yeah, something that I've learned is like, your thoughts create your feelings, and your feelings create how you show up in your life.
Yeah.
And that's the result of your life.
Right.
And I mean, who wants to wake up in the morning and say, nobody cares about me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, as a mom, like, I can be like, my son cares about me. And if that's just one person that you can think of, or my daughter,
Right.
or my friend, like, that is so much more than nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Because showing up for that one matters just as much as
Exactly.
showing up for 10, 15, however many people.
Yeah, and even as like a mom, like that negative self-talk, and like you say, when you say something like that, something negative to yourself, you show up and you live your life kind of like that. As a mom, you kind of can't do that.
Yeah.
You have to. I know people say it's just like, forget about you.
No, you
and
cannot forget about
you and go to your kid, but you can't forget about you.
No.
Because without you, you're not going to have a happy, healthy kid without you being happy and healthy.
1,000%.
That's what I think a big misconception within the mom world is.
And I had to learn that too. And the very early stages, and this kind of flows into, you said, what's one phrase you catch yourself saying that tears you down, especially in postpartum days?
Mhm.
It was, I hate my body.
Yeah.
And as a nursing mom, that tore me down like
Mhm.
a lot. And I exclusively breastfed my son, and that was hard to like wake up and tell
Right.
myself I hate my body when my body was providing all the nutrients my
Mhm.
kid needed.
Right.
Um, and I didn't immediately go into I love my body, because actually I'm still working on the weight loss of postpartum. Um, but I started with I am learning to appreciate what my body has done for me and my
Yeah.
son,
Yeah.
because
Of course.
I had to learn that, like, I don't know, I just started to feel like, especially as an exclusive breastfeeding mom, I felt really drained because I hated
Mhm.
my body. There's a baby who is taking from me,
Yeah.
and then I felt guilty for feeding myself because I was gaining more weight or
Mhm.
whatever. So that negative self-talk is pretty
Can
big.
really tear you down.
Yeah.
Especially as like in that position as a
Mhm.
mom where you see it, you have to look at it in a different light, especially with everything around you, societal standards, people, just everything around you.
Yeah.
Knowing that everything and everybody has an opinion. And
Going into the dressing room alone is like so scary.
Mm-hmm.
And like finding nothing that I felt like fit me.
Yeah.
And it goes back to taking care of yourself. Like, I finally just was like, okay, I'm accepting that I'm a size 14 right now, and we're going to go with it, and we're going to go buy the pants.
Right.
And
Right.
we'll just go with it. But I tell you what, the moment that I just accepted that I was a size 14 and pants, which I can't even believe I'm saying on YouTube Live, but I started feeling so much better about myself because I was just showing up for myself. I was caring for myself.
And when you do that, I feel like you kind of see the aura. You know what I mean? When you actually just choose to live out who you are and what you look like. Because even though you may not be completely happy with what you look like or anything like that, you have to know that you have to be okay with how you are right now. And, you know, if you want change, you want change.
Yeah.
But to hate yourself in whatever moment you are, whether it's with your body, with who you are, you cannot hate yourself and be better at the same time.
Yes, exactly.
It just won't work that way.
No.
And so you just have to accept what it is right now and do better next time, or change what you want to change, and just kind of love to be you. It's hard. It's really hard to put it in words like that, but
it is.
That's why we're doing this. We're learning. The next thing I really wanted to touch on is that self-compassion. I know you just brought up some self-compassion.
Yeah.
But it's the grace for yourself. And that's, like I was just saying, allowing yourself to be who you are right now, even if you don't approve of it. Not necessarily approve of it, but you need to give grace for who you are right now, even though you want to do better. Everyone should want to do better for themselves in some kind of aspect, but knowing that you made a mistake or you were struggling this week on work or something, it's a part of being human. Yes, it does not stop after being human. You are human. Everyone's human. And I think that was really hard for me to learn, was making mistakes and the struggles that come with the mistakes and learning how to overcome that. A lot of people don't know, when I was 12, I raised my niece for a little bit. My mom was on second shift, so I'd come home from school, and then I had my niece. When I came to school, I had her for dinner and, you know, all the rest of the night. And there was this one time I was staying the night at my brother's to dog sit their dogs. And I was probably like 13 at this time, and she was still on bottles. And she was in her pack and play, and it was like 3 a.m. She wanted a bottle. And I went to go make her a bottle, and I put the formula in. And I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't shake it or nothing. I didn't even put the cap on. And I went to give her her bottle, poured all over her.
Oh.
But it's just like those little moments
Mm-hmm.
in anything. Poor girl. she was traumatized.
Yes.
She just wanted to eat, and she got milk poured all over her.
At 3
Had
in
to
the
clean
morning.
3 a.m. But that's the times where you also have to sit back and say, hey, it was 3 a.m. Don't beat
You
yourself
were
up.
13 years old.
I was 13 years old. But those things carry on.
Yes.
Whether it was those kind of things or something different, those things carry on. But instead of beating yourself up about it, giving yourself compassion and saying, hey, shake the bottle next time.
Yeah.
Shake the bottle next time. Put the cap on.
Maybe
All
slow
the
down.
above.
Yeah.
And then I want to end off with a discussion question, and then we are going to actually continue this week's lesson next week, just to save us a little bit more time, because I could definitely talk about this forever. But I want to start with, why do you think it's easier to show compassion to others than yourself? And when I read this question, I didn't know how to answer it. I don't, because when I think about it, I don't know why it is so secondhand to give that grace to somebody else and not to yourself. And I got to thinking about it a little bit more, and I think it's because when I think of others and I care about somebody, I don't put negative thoughts to them. I don't tie negative thoughts to them. And so if they have a problem or a mistake they made, I always give them compassion. But when I look at myself, I tie negative things to myself sometimes. And I think that's why it's harder to give myself compassion than it is for others. I don't know. What do you think?
I think, well, I used to look at myself. I think it used to be, for me, it was easier to show people compassion because I saw myself unkind.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, but from my perspective as a mom, I attached that, like, my worth was determined on my performance of how good of a mom I was that day.
Yeah.
So I felt like it was much easier to look at another mom and say, she's doing a fabulous job. Look at her get down on her knees to their level and tell them to stop doing it, doing whatever they're doing. Whereas, like, sometimes I'm like, stop it.
Yeah.
And so I just felt like, like you kind of said, you attach the negative to yourself. And I guess over time I've kind of learned that compassion strength is like strengthening your resilience.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just always felt like, because I was unkind, I viewed myself as unkind, as an unkind mom from that mom perspective.
Yeah.
Of maybe I'm being too hard on my kid, or not being good enough to them, I guess, too, you know?
Yep. And I remember this one time I sat down, I don't remember who she was at the school, but it was my sophomore year, and she told me that everyone has something called a secret struggle. And that's something I always thought nobody was dealing with anything, you know, it was just me that was struggling and drowning. And to actually know that that person who acts like she's perfect all the time, or I see her as perfect, is not actually perfect and has to go home to this. And that's a big perception switch that I needed, I think.
Yeah.
Everybody has a secret struggle, and nobody
I think we always put a story on what everyone else is living and how they're living their life. and our thoughts, like, wow, she's so good at XYZ.
Yeah.
But that's not always reality.
And I also fear that some people think of me like that.
Yes.
Like, no, I'm not perfect. I'm not.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I struggle too. Like, definitely goes both ways.
Yes.
But that is where we're going to stop today. We have went 25 minutes. So next week we will finish up talking with boundaries. Yes, we're going to talk with boundaries for week 3, and then maybe if we have time, we'll start week 4, but we'll see how that goes. I appreciate everyone for listening. Next week, we should have a thumbnail up that is given our information. It says Tuesdays from 5 to 6. We will have an 8-week fall series. This is our 3 weeks, so we have about 4 or 5 more weeks. And then on Wednesdays, we're going to do a Q&A. So any questions or concerns you have, please contact KEN at HOPEANDANSWERS.com, and we will get back to you on Wednesdays with our Q&A. Thank you for listening.
Wonderful. Better than last week. And last